The stars looked different now. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Discovery, watching the endless black space filled with tiny lights. Each light was a sun, maybe with planets, maybe with life. For the first time in human history, they were far enough from Earth to see new things. "Captain, we're getting strange readings from the Kepler 442 system," said Lisa Rodriguez from her communications chair. Her fingers moved fast over the glowing buttons. "There's something big orbiting the dying star." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The numbers meant something was there, something huge. Not a planet, not a moon, but something made by intelligent beings. His heart beat faster. This could be it. First contact with alien life. "How big are we talking?" Jake asked. Lisa checked her readings again. "About the size of a small moon, but it's hollow. And Captain, it's giving off power signatures. Lots of them. Different kinds, like many different technologies working together." Dr. Ben Carter looked up from his science station. His eyes were bright with excitement. "Captain, if Lisa is right, this could be a space station. A really big one. Maybe home to multiple species." Jake felt the weight of the moment. Every human who had ever looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone would get their answer today. "Set course for the station, but keep our weapons ready just in case." The Discovery moved through space toward the mysterious object. As they got closer, the crew could see it better. The station was massive, made of different materials stuck together like a puzzle. Some parts looked like metal, others like crystal, and some parts seemed to glow with their own light. "It's beautiful," whispered Amy Walsh, the security chief. But her hand stayed near the weapon controls. "I'm getting multiple signals now," Lisa said. "Different frequencies, different patterns. Captain, I think there are many different species on that station. Can you make contact?" Lisa worked for several minutes, trying different ways to send a message. Finally, her screen lit up with symbols none of them had ever seen before. Then, the symbols changed, becoming numbers, then simple pictures. "They're trying to talk to us," she said. "They're using math and pictures to communicate." Over the next hour, Lisa slowly built a basic way to talk with the aliens. The process was slow, but both sides were patient. Finally, a voice came through the speakers. It sounded musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Greetings, unknown visitors. This is Ambassador Zelk of the Vorthani people, speaking for the Council of Haven's End. We welcome you, though we are surprised to meet a new species in these dangerous times. What do you call yourselves?" Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Discovery. We come from a planet called Earth, and we call ourselves humans. We come in peace." There was a long silence. Then Zelk spoke, again, and this time the musical voice sounded worried. "Humans? You said you come from a planet? You travel between stars? How many of your kind exist?" "About 12 billion on our home world," Jake answered. "Why do you ask?" Another long silence. "Captain Morrison, we must meet face to face. But first we must ask you something very important. What do your people eat?" The question seemed strange. Jake looked at his crew, confused. "We eat many things. Plants, fruits, meat from animals, fish from our oceans. We eat whatever we need to survive." "Why?" The silence this time felt different, heavy, scared. "Captain," Zelk's voice was now very quiet. "Did you say you eat animals?" "Yes, among other things. Is that a problem?" "Captain Morrison, we must meet immediately. But please understand what you have just told us changes everything. You see, we have never met a species like yours before. In our galaxy, there are only two kinds of intelligent beings. Those who eat plants and small things from water, like us, and those who eat other intelligent beings." Ben Carter stood up fast. "Are you saying there are intelligent species that hunt and eat other intelligent species?" "Yes, Dr. Carter. We call them the Devourers. They have ruled this galaxy for millions of years. They hunt us for sport and food. We, the prey species, hide in places like this station, always running, Always scared, Jake felt cold. How many species live on your station? 57 different species, Captain. All of us are survivors. All of us have lost our homeworlds to the Devourers. We thought you might be scouts for them when we first saw your ship. Amy. Walsh stepped forward. These Devourers, how big are they? How many? Each Devourer stands as tall as 4 of your humans. They have claws that can cut through metal and teeth that can crush bone. They are faster than our fastest ships and smarter than our best minds. There are millions of them spread across thousands of worlds. Jake felt anger growing inside him. And you just run from them? Captain, you don't understand. No prey species has ever successfully fought a devourer. They are perfect predators. We can only hide and hope they don't find us. But there are 57 species on your station. Surely working together you could fight back. Zelk's voice became sad. Captain, we are not built for fighting. We are builders, farmers, artists, and scientists. The Devourers are born hunters. It would be like asking a flower to fight a hurricane. Jake looked at his crew. He saw the same thoughts in their eyes that he had in his mind. Humans were different. Humans had fought wars for thousands of years. They had survived ice ages, plagues, and disasters. They had climbed to the top of their world's food chain not because they were the biggest or strongest, but because they were smart, worked together, and never gave up when something threatened them. Ambassador Zelk, Jake said slowly. We would like permission to dock with your station. We have much to discuss. Of course, Captain, but please bring only a small group. Many of our people have never seen a predator species that doesn't want to eat them. They will be very afraid. As the Discovery moved toward the docking bay, Jake gathered his senior staff. Listen carefully, everyone. We're about to walk into a station full of species that have been running scared for millions of years. They think we're like these Devourers because we eat meat. Lisa looked worried. Captain, what if they're right? What if we are just another predator species? Jake thought about this. Maybe we are predators, Lisa. But we're predators who protect our pack. And right now it sounds like this galaxy needs someone willing to hunt the hunters. The docking bay doors opened, and Jake Morrison stepped into a wider galaxy than any human had ever imagined. A galaxy ruled by fear, where the strong ate the weak, and where hope had been lost so long ago that most species had forgotten what it felt like. But that was about to change. Because humanity had arrived, and humans had never been good at accepting that some fights couldn't be won. The inside of Haven's End Station was like nothing Jake had ever seen. The walls curved in impossible ways, made from materials that seemed to grow rather than be built. Soft lights moved like living things, and the air smelled of flowers and rain. Ambassador Zelk waited for them in the main hall. He looked like a tall tree made of blue crystal, with branches that moved like arms and leaves that glowed with soft light. When he spoke, the sound came from everywhere at once. Welcome, humans. Please forgive our fear. We have prepared a place where you can learn about our galaxy. Jake walked with his team through corridors filled with different aliens. Some looked like giant butterflies with 6 wings. Others were small and round, rolling instead of walking. A few looked like living clouds of gas held together by glowing threads. All of them stopped to stare at the humans, and Jake could see fear in their strange eyes. They're all scared of us, Amy whispered. Can you blame them? Ben replied quietly. To them, we look like the enemy. Zelk led them to a large room with a table that seemed to be made from liquid metal. Please sit. We must show you what we face. The room became dark, and suddenly they were surrounded by moving pictures made of light. Jake watched as a beautiful world appeared around them, covered in cities that looked like gardens and forests that sang with music. This was Harmony Prime, home to the melodic people, Zelk explained. They created songs that could heal sickness and make plants grow faster. Their world was a paradise. The scene changed. Dark shapes moved across the sky like storm clouds, but Jake could see they were ships. Massive ships with claws and teeth carved into their metal hulls. The ships landed, and things came out of them. Jake's blood went cold. The Devourers were worse than he had imagined. They stood 20 feet tall on powerful legs that ended in razor claws. Their arms were long and strong, with hands that had fingers like knives. But the worst part was their faces. They looked almost human, but wrong. Too many teeth, eyes that glowed with hunger and expressions of cruel joy. They don't just kill for food, Zelk said sadly. They enjoy the fear. They make it last as long as possible. The light pictures showed the devourers hunting the melodic. People through their singing forests. The aliens ran and hid, but there was nowhere to go. The devourers were faster, stronger, and smarter. They caught their prey and played with them before the end came. Dr. Ben Carter had to look away. How long has this been happening? Millions of years, Zelk answered. They have destroyed thousands of worlds. Billions of thinking beings have died. The pictures changed to show other worlds, other species, other endings. Each one was the same. The devourers arrived, they hunted, they won. The few survivors ran to places like Haven's End to hide and wait for death to find them. What about fighting back? Amy asked. Surely some species tried to resist. Zelk made a sound like wind through broken glass. Many tried. The war singer. Collective built great battleships and trained for centuries. The devourers destroyed their entire fleet in one day. The hive mind species had billions of fighters who could think as one. The devourers learned their patterns and turned their unity against them. Jake watched the pictures of failed battles. The prey species had ships and weapons, but they fought like prey. They ran when hurt, scattered when afraid, and gave up when things looked hopeless. They had never learned to fight like predators. Show us how the devourers fight, Jake said. The room filled with images of devourer battle tactics. Jake studied them carefully, and slowly he began to see something the aliens had missed. Roy, are you seeing this? Jake asked his navigator. Roy. Jackson had been quiet, but now his eyes were bright with understanding. Yes, Captain, they're predictable. What do you mean? Zelk asked. Jake stood up and pointed at the light pictures. Look at their attack patterns. They always do the same thing. Land here, surround their prey, drive them toward this killing ground, then close in for the hunt. Yes, Zelk said. They are very efficient. But they're only efficient because no one ever fights back the right way, Jake continued. Look, they spread out to surround their enemies. That means they're separated from each other, and they expect their prey to run toward the center where they're waiting. Amy caught on quickly. But what if the prey didn't run toward the center? What if they fought back and hit the devourers when they were spread out? Sam Torres, the team's language expert, had been talking quietly with some of the other alien species. Now he came back with news. Captain, I've been learning about the different species here. Each one has amazing abilities. A new alien approached them. This one looked like a ball of silver light with tiny hands and feet. When it spoke, the words appeared in the air as glowing letters. I am Shimmer of the Zephyrian people. Sam Torres says you want to know our abilities. We can become invisible to most sensors and eyes. We use this to hide from the devourers. Another alien came forward. It looked like a small mountain of soft blue jelly. We are one who flows of the collective memory. Our people can change shape and fit through any opening larger than a marble. We use this to escape. More aliens came, each one sharing their special gifts. Some could move through solid walls for short times. Others could sense danger from miles away. A few could make their bodies as hard as diamond or as light as air. Kate Phillips, the tactical officer, was taking notes. Captain, look at this. Each species has incredible defensive abilities, but they only use them to run and hide. Jake felt excitement growing in his chest. What if we taught them to use these abilities to fight instead of just survive? The aliens looked shocked. Zelk's crystal branches shook. Captain Morrison, we are not fighters. We are not made for war. Maybe not, Jake said. But you're made for survival. And right now, survival means learning to fight back. A young alien that looked like a singing crystal approached them. I am him of growing stars. I work with the station's defenses. I have studied the human ship, and I think Captain Morrison might be right. Zelk's glow dimmed. Him, you are young. You don't understand the horror we face. But Ambassador, Him replied, I have seen the humans' weapons and ships. They are different from ours. They are made for fighting, not just defending. And the humans themselves think differently than we do. Jake looked around the room at all. The different species. Each one had spent millions of years running and hiding. They had forgotten that sometimes the only way to survive was to make the other side afraid of you. We want to help you, Jake said, but not by giving you bigger places to hide. We want to teach you how to make the Devourers afraid for the first time in their lives. The room became very quiet. Jake could feel the fear, but also something else, something that had been buried under millions of years of terror. Hope. Zelk was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke. If we do this, if we try to fight and we fail, the Devourers will not just kill us quickly. They will make our deaths last for days as punishment. Jake nodded. I understand. But if you don't try, you'll spend the rest of your lives running until they catch you anyway. One by one, the aliens began to speak. They were scared, but they were tired of being scared. They were tired of watching their friends die. They were tired of having no hope. What would you need from us? Him of Growing Stars asked. Jake smiled. Everything you've got. Your technology, your abilities, your knowledge. And most importantly, your trust. The vote wasn't close. For the first time in galactic history, the prey decided to stop running and start fighting back. 3 weeks later, Haven's end station looked completely different. The quiet, peaceful halls were now filled with the sounds of building and training. Tony Brooks worked day and night with alien engineers to create new weapons that no one had ever seen before. Hand me that crystal power core, Tony said to Him of Growing Stars. The young alien passed him a glowing blue stone that hummed with energy. Tony carefully connected it to a human plasma rifle. When he pulled the trigger, a beam of light shot out that cut through 3 inches of steel. Incredible, Him whispered. Our power sources make your weapons 5 times stronger. Tony smiled. And your smart metals make our armor able to change shape. Together, we're building things that neither of our species could make alone. In another part of the station, Sergeant Nina Campbell was teaching mixed groups of humans and aliens how to fight together. At first, it had been a disaster. The aliens were too scared to attack anything, and they ran away at the first sign of danger. Look, I know this is hard, Nina told a group of shaking Zephyrians. But you have to understand something. The Devourers expect you to run. They've planned their whole hunting strategy around chasing scared prey. But what if you didn't run? A Zephyrian named Whisper of Wind raised one of his silver hands. Sergeant Campbell, what if we become invisible and surround them instead? Nina's eyes lit up. Now you're thinking like a fighter instead of prey. Show me. The Zephyrians faded from sight. Nina couldn't see them at all, but she could hear soft footsteps moving around her. Suddenly, she felt gentle touches on her arms, legs, and back. If we were Devourers, Whisper of Wind said as he became visible again, you would be surrounded by invisible enemies with weapons. We could attack from all sides at once. That's perfect, Nina said. You see, you're not weak. You've just been using your strengths the wrong way. The training continued with other species. The collective memory aliens learned to flow through walls and attack from behind. The crystal singers discovered their songs could shatter devourer claws and confuse their senses. Even the smallest aliens found ways to be dangerous. But the real test came sooner than anyone expected. Captain Jake Morrison was in the command center when the alarm started screaming. Lisa Rodriguez looked up from her communications station with fear in her eyes. Captain, we're getting distress calls from the Proxima mining operation. 3 Devourer ships just jumped into the system. Jake felt his heart pound. This was it. Their first real fight. How many people are at the mining station? About 200 aliens from 6 different species. They have no weapons, no defenses. Time until the Devourers reach them? 4 hours, Captain. Jake looked around the command center. The alien leaders were there, and he could see terror in their eyes. This was what they had always known would happen. The Devourers would come and everyone would die. Not this time, Jake said out loud. Lisa, signal the Discovery. Tell them to prepare for immediate departure. Kate, get our strike team ready. Kate, Phillips was already moving. Captain, we have 20 humans and 40 aliens trained and equipped. The ship modifications are complete. Ambassador Zelk. Jake turned to the crystal alien. This is your choice. We can try to save those people, but it means fighting Devourers for real. Zelk was quiet for a long moment. His crystalline branches were shaking. Finally, he spoke. Captain Morrison, for 3 million years my people have received calls like this. We have listened to the screams, and we have done nothing because we believed we were helpless. Today we try something different. The UES Discovery had been changed so much it barely looked like the same ship. Its hull was now covered with alien armor that could shift and change. Its weapons were a mix of human and alien technology that hit harder than anything the galaxy had seen. Most importantly, it carried a crew that was no longer just human. Steve Quinn sat in the pilot's seat, but next to him was a Zephyrian navigator who could see dangers that human eyes missed. In the weapons control room, Laura Kim worked with crystal singers who could target enemies through solid rock. Jumping to the Proxima system in 3, 2, 1, Steve announced. The ship appeared in space near the mining station, just as the 3 Devourer ships were moving in for the attack. Jake could see the alien ships on his screen. They looked like metal sharks with claws covered in weapons and armor. They're bigger than I expected, Amy Walsh said quietly. Size doesn't matter if you're smart, Jake replied. Lisa, open a channel. To the Devourer ships. The main screen showed the face of a Devourer commander. It was even more terrifying in person than in the recordings. Its eyes glowed red, and its mouth was full of teeth like knives. Unknown ship, the Devourer said in, a voice like breaking glass. You will surrender and prepare to be boarded. Your species will make interesting prey. Jake stepped forward. This is Captain Morrison of the United Earth Ship Discovery. You will leave this system immediately. The Devourer laughed, a sound that made everyone's skin crawl. Humans. Yes, we have heard of you. New prey that thinks it can fight. We will enjoy teaching you why all prey runs from us. We're not prey, Jake said calmly. We're predators too. The difference is, we hunt bullies. The Devourer's laugh stopped. You will learn, human. Attack. The 3 Devourer ships moved forward, their weapons charging, but they attacked the way they always attacked prey ships. They spread out to surround their target, planning to drive it toward the middle where they could kill it easily. Now, Jake ordered. The Discovery didn't run toward the middle like a scared prey ship. Instead, it turned hard and flew straight at the leftmost Devourer ship. At the same time, 50 Zephyrians became invisible and used small ships to attack the other 2 Devourers from behind. The Devourers had never seen anything like it. They were used to prey that ran away, not prey that charged straight at them. The leftmost ship tried to turn, but Steve Quinn was a better pilot than they expected. The Discovery's new weapons, powered by alien crystals, cut through the Devourer ship's armor like paper. The other 2 Devourer ships spun around, trying to find the invisible attackers, but crystal singers were using sound weapons to confuse. Their sensors, while collective memory aliens flowed through their hulls and damaged their engines from inside. Impossible, the Devourer commander screamed. Prey doesn't fight like this. We're not prey, Jake said again. We're a pack. The battle lasted only 10 minutes. When it was over, 1 Devourer ship was destroyed, 1 was badly damaged and retreating, and the 3rd had surrendered after its crew was captured by invisible aliens. Jake looked at his mixed crew of humans and aliens. Everyone was smiling, even the species that didn't have mouths. For the first time in millions of years, prey had beaten predators in a fair fight. Sir, Lisa said, we're getting messages from all over the galaxy. News of this battle is spreading fast. What kind of messages? Hope, Captain. For the first time in galactic history, the prey species are feeling hope. Jake nodded, but he also felt worried. Lisa, send a message to all Allied stations. Tell them to prepare for war. The Devourers won't ignore this. He was right. Across the galaxy, devourer fleets were already moving. They had learned that their prey was no longer helpless. The hunt was about to become very different, and the hunters were about to discover what it felt like to be afraid. The messages came from everywhere. Hidden stations, secret colonies, and refugee ships all across the galaxy were sending the same news. The devourers were coming, and they were bringing everything they had. Greg Stone looked up from his intelligence station with worry in his eyes. "Captain, the numbers are worse than we thought. We're tracking over 10,000 devourer ships heading this way, every major fleet they have." Jake Morrison stood in the command center of Haven's End, surrounded by representatives from hundreds of prey species. In just 2 months, their small alliance had grown into something the galaxy had never seen before. But 10,000 ships was more than anyone had imagined. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. 3 days, maybe 4, Greg replied. "They're coming from multiple directions, planning to surround the entire system." Ambassador Zelk's crystal branches dimmed with fear. "Captain Morrison, perhaps we should evacuate. Save who we can and find another hiding place." Jake looked around. The room had all the different aliens. 2 months ago they had been scared and hopeless. Now they had weapons, training, and most importantly, they had hope. He wasn't going to let them go back to running and hiding. "No," Jake said firmly. "We're not running anymore. If we run now, we'll spend the rest of our lives running. This ends here." Paula Hayes, the chief engineer, stepped forward. "Captain, we've been working on something. The alien species have been sharing more than just their defensive abilities. They've been sharing their knowledge." She activated a holographic display that showed the entire Kepler 442 system. "Sir, what if we turned the whole system into a weapon?" Jake studied the display. "What do you mean?" "The crystalline collective can create energy fields that connect across entire star systems. The void swimmers can move through space without ships. The harmony engineers can make any technology work with any other technology. Working together, we can do things that no single species ever imagined." Hymn of Growing Stars floated forward, glowing brighter than usual. "Captain Morrison, my people have built a network of defense platforms throughout the system. But they're not like any defenses the devourers have seen before." The holographic display changed to show hundreds of small platforms scattered around planets, moons, and asteroids. Each platform is invisible to normal sensors, and they're all connected by quantum fields. When the devourers arrive, they won't be fighting individual ships. They'll be fighting the entire system. Jack Miller, who had been working with alien psychology teams, had more news. "Captain, we've been studying the captured devourers from our last battle. We've learned something important about how they think." "What did you find?" "They're not as united as we thought. The devourers are predators, which means they compete with each other. They work together when hunting prey, but they don't really trust each other. If we can break their coordination, they'll start fighting among themselves." Helen Clark had been quiet, but now she spoke up. "Captain, I think I know how to do that. The devourers expect their prey to be in the center of the system, hiding and scared. What if we weren't there when they arrived?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "What if we let them surround empty space, let them get confused and spread out, looking for us? Then when they're scattered and arguing about where we went, we hit them from all sides at once." Amy Walsh nodded. "It's classic pack hunting, but reversed. Instead of surrounding the prey, we let the prey surround empty space, then we become the hunters." The plan that came together over the next 3 days was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Every single alien species contributed something unique. The Zephyrians would be the scouts, invisible and everywhere. The Crystal Singers would coordinate communications across the entire battle. The Void Swimmers would move troops and supplies instantly between battle zones. When the Devourer fleet arrived, they found exactly what they expected to find. Haven's End station was quiet and seemed poorly defended. Their sensors showed prey, ships scattered around the system apparently trying to hide behind planets and moons. "Pathetic," growled Supreme Hunter Torek, the leader of the Devourer fleet. "They think they can hide from us like children playing games. Begin the hunt. Drive them to the center so we can finish this quickly." The 10,000 Devourer ships spread out across the system, just like they always did. They moved in their ancient patterns, designed to herd frightened prey into a killing ground. But as they spread out, strange things began to happen. Ships that looked like prey vessels suddenly opened up with weapons that cut through Devourer armor like butter. Invisible platforms that hadn't shown up on any sensors came online and fired from every direction. Worst of all, small groups of Devourers found themselves surrounded by enemies that appeared from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. "What is happening?" Torak screamed as his own ship came under attack from 3 directions at once. "Prey doesn't fight like this." "Sir," one of his officers reported, "we're getting reports from all our fleets. The prey are everywhere, but they're also nowhere. Our ships are being picked off one by one." Steve Quinn piloted the Discovery through the battle, weaving between Devourer ships that were too confused to coordinate their attacks. "Captain, their formation is breaking apart. They're starting to blame each other for the losses." Jake watched his displays as the battle unfolded exactly as they had planned. The Devourers were predators, but they were solitary predators. When their hunt went wrong, they didn't work together better. They started fighting each other. "Now," Jake ordered, "execute the final phase." All across the system, the hidden defense platforms revealed themselves at once. Suddenly, the Devourers found themselves in the middle of a sphere of weapons that had been invisible moments before. At the same time, every prey species that had ever been hunted by Devourers appeared on the battlefield. The psychological impact was devastating. For millions of years, the Devourers had been the hunters. They had never been the ones surrounded, outnumbered, and outgunned. Many of them simply panicked. "Impossible," Torak roared. "We are the apex predators. We are the hunters." Jake's voice came over the communication channels, calm and steady. "You were apex predators when you only faced individuals, but we're not individuals. We're a pack, and our pack includes everyone you've ever hurt." The battle turned into a rout. Some Devourer ships tried to fight but found themselves facing weapons and tactics they couldn't understand. Others tried to retreat but discovered that void swimmers had disabled their escape routes. A few tried to surrender but found that their former prey was not interested in mercy. When the fighting ended, less than 1,000 Devourer ships remained out of the original 10,000. Most of those were fleeing toward the edges of the galaxy, carrying news that would change everything. Supreme Hunter Torak found himself a prisoner on Haven's End Station, staring at Jake Morrison through the bars of a cell made from Crystal Singer song metal. "This changes nothing, human," Torak snarled. "There are more of us out there. We will return." Jake looked at the defeated predator without fear. "Maybe you will. But it won't matter. You see, you taught the galaxy something today. You taught them that apex predators can be beaten. You taught them that working together makes them stronger than hiding alone. Most importantly, you taught them that they don't have to be afraid anymore." The news of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. On 1,000 hidden worlds, prey species emerged from their hiding places. Ancient weapons were rebuilt. Old alliances were renewed. Species that had cowered in the dark for millions of years stood up and began to hunt the hunters. 5 years later, Ambassador Jake Morrison stood before the first open Galactic Council meeting in 50,000 years. Representatives from over 3,000 species filled the Great Hall, no longer afraid to show themselves in public. "The galaxy has learned something important," Jake said to the assembled beings. "Predators and prey are not born. They are made by choices. For too long, you chose to be prey because you thought you had no other option. Today, you choose to be protectors." The hall erupted in sounds of agreement from 1,000 different species. Songs, clicks, roars, and harmonies that had not been heard together since before the Devourers rose to power. Outside the hall, patrol ships crewed by former prey species kept watch over the trade routes. The galaxy was no longer a place where the strong hunted the weak. It had become a place where the strong protected everyone else, and in the deepest parts of space, the few remaining Devourers told stories in whispers about the day their prey learned to bite back. Led by strange creatures from a small blue world who had taught the galaxy that sometimes the greatest predator is the one who hunts to protect others.